Hi wonderful people out there, welcome to this channel. My name is Abigail, or simply called Gail. I'll respond to either. As I say to you guys every day, I do love to come your way and bring new content to you. Anything that will help you in your journey or in your growth. As a nurse, I do resonate a lot with nurses, and I like to bring content that's like really good and that will positively impact the work of nurses. So today I'm just gonna let you know the kind of qualities that separate or differentiate great nurses from, ordinary nurses, if you would say. And I know every one of us, if you're a nurse or in whatever profession that you're in, you want to be at your best and you want to be at your optimum. And I believe that this is the kind of mindset that people who are great nurses, which I'm proud to call myself one of, this is the way we see things, and this is how we practice, and this is these are some of the qualities that we've got. And I think with the year starting, it's great to have these ideas, just so that when you're going to work, you're sort of analyzing yourself and the work that you're doing, and how you can implement these qualities or show these qualities at work, and get your work to like the optimum best. So without wasting time, let's crack on. So one of the qualities of great nurses is that they're empathetic. Now, empathy is different from sympathy. I know it confuses a lot of people, but what we need is not sympathy. You need to be empathetic. So empathy is where you're able to put yourself in your patients or your clients in their shoes, to sort of experience what they're feeling and know what they will expect. So like, put yourself in your shoes and just imagine, what would you expect from a nurse or a professional in the healthcare sector if you were in their shoes. So that's like empathy. So these people are owning their feelings. You are acknowledging what they're going through. As their sympathy is more like feeling pity for people. So you just look on them and you're like, it's sort of like an egotistical thing. So like, okay, you're supposed to feel sorry for people because they're feeling ill and they're sick and stuff like that. But it's like you see it as outside of you, so you don't really do much. All you feel is just sorry and pity for them. But empathy should drive you to do something that would improve their situation or make them feel better, because you're sort of mimicking their own experience within yourself. I don't know whether that makes sense. But yeah, that's the difference. And what we need is for you to be empathetic, not sympathetic, for your patients. Now, number 2, you need to be a really good team player. So if you've worked in a hospital, if you're new, like you're coming from school, obviously you've done placement in hospital and you know how this works. If you have no idea about how nursing works, like there's a lot of teams that are involved in making people well. So you've got the nursing staff, you've got medical staff, you've got physio, you've got pharmacists, you've got even the cleaners, you've got domestics, you've got a whole variety of people, and all of these different professionals are supposed to be talking to each other, communicating, just so that everybody knows where each person is, because it's one goal. We're all trying to make patients feel better and make people recover. So you need to be somebody that's really good at working in teams. And I know some people are like comfortable being in their own shell, being in their own corner, dealing with their own patients by themselves. But that's not what you're going to be facing. You're going to have colleagues who are going to come up to you. You're going to have patients' relatives who are going to come up to you and discuss concerns with you. Your patients themselves are going to be talking to you. You need to be able to escalate concerns to senior colleagues and even your own colleagues. You need to be able to relate very well with people who are like, I would say, in a lower hierarchy. And when I say hierarchy, it's not like in a matter of importance, but then it's just how the structure works. So you need to be able to speak to people who are above you and who are also below your hierarchy, and also people on your level of hierarchy, and that communication needs to be like constant. So if you've got concerns, you need to be able to address them. You need to be able to speak to your working colleagues if there's something that needs to be sorted out. You have to be really good at working with the team, getting information from the other team members, like from other professionals, asking, pharmacists if you've got concerns with medications, escalating to doctors if your patient is poorly, and just within your team as well. Like even within the nursing team itself, there's like a lot of different roles and in there. And you need to be able to relate very well with people. You need to be friendly, you need to be approachable, You need to be kind and empathetic, not even just to your patient, but to your colleagues as well. The best nurses out there, they're very good team players, so you want to have that under your belt as well. Another quality of excellent nurses is that they've got really great critical thinking skills. Now, when you're on the ward, sometimes it's just you and your patients, because like in my hospital, you get allocated a set number of people or patients that you're looking after, and normally you've got yourself as a nurse and a healthcare support worker. Of course, you've got the senior sisters on the ward to escalate things to. You've got the doctors, you've got pharmacists, you've got a lot of people around you, but ultimately you are in direct contact with these patients. And you know, people can just switch. Like people with medical conditions, they can be stable for a while and all of a sudden they can just switch. Like people who go into crash modes, it just happens. But you know, all of these things happen with warning. Like people don't just crash out of nowhere. You would see some signs before they eventually crash. So when you start seeing these things, what do? You know, like when your patient is poorly, what do? If you've got a family member or a patient who is very unhappy, you know, and they're complaining to you, what do? Like at that moment, what are the critical thinking skills that you employ? You've got somebody that's physically abusive, verbally abusive. What do you do to keep yourself safe? So you always need to be like on your toes with stuff, and know where to like get information, where to escalate things to, and like what to do. And you need to be abreast of like all of these procedures that are available, like fire procedures, escalation procedures, like how to identify deteriorating patients, addressing situations with difficult family and difficult patients. You need to familiarize yourself with all of these things just to help you like in that moment. That's the difference between nurses who are exceptional and nurses who are average or like not so good. So if you want to be great, then you have to develop your critical thinking skills. Number 4 quality of great nurses is they're adaptable. So everything is changing, even our lives are changing, and most especially like when you come to things in the healthcare setting, things are always changing, evolving, getting better, and that means if you're someone that's like stuck in their ways, you're really going to struggle. You need to be someone that's open to change. Change can be stressful, change can be difficult, change can be scary, but you need to be someone that's ready to adapt onto the change. Obviously, you need to critically think through how this change is going to affect you and your team. You know, you can discuss it with your manager if you feel like there's some aspect of the change what you feel uncomfortable with, and how that can be addressed, or if you think it's going to bring trouble or problems. But then ultimately, a lot of these changes are good. For instance, you can find that a lot of your staff members might switch jobs. You know, people that you're used to being with on the ward, you know, you've built that sort of bond with on the wards. They just decide to go to a different department or something, and obviously you're going to miss them. I mean, that's one aspect of change. I mean, it's quite, like, you would say it's insignificant, but it does affect people's mental states. Like if your hospital is changing, or if your facility is changing, the brand of syringes that you use for your patients, that's changed. Some people may not like it, but you know, you have to be ready to adapt. Obviously, if you've got concerns about it, escalate it, but if it's something that's good, you need to adapt to it. Also, we've got a lot of hospitals who are transforming from paperwork to digital, like electronic. They're, you know, digitalizing everything, and they're taking away the paper system. And I know there are a lot of our staff who are like not very good with tech. They do struggle in this area, but obviously it's for the better. I mean, the research has been done, and it's been found now that electronic systems are better than paper-based, and that's why hospitals are deciding to go this way. So even though you might not be quite techie, you have to be willing to go through the process, get someone to help you out if you need that. so that you can get that training and get that confidence with using electronic systems. So it's everything, things are constantly changing, and even your patient's conditions might change, so you need to adapt your level of action to, you know, the level of acuity that you've got on the ward. So you have to be very adaptable, very easy to analyze things and switch when you need to and stuff like that. So yeah, keep that in mind. Number 5, quality of great nurses is they are organized. So as a nurse, or you know, someone that works in a hospital, you get faced with a lot. Like at the beginning of your shift, you get a handover. That's what happens in most of the wards in my hospital. So every morning you get sort of like a debrief, a quick debrief, and then you go on to have your handovers. And you get a lot of information, but then it's up to you to prioritize what needs to be done first, because you've got different acuities of patients under your care, and you have to prioritize which ones get what kind of attention and how fast they get them. And when it comes to procedures, you have to know, especially with medications that cannot be delayed, you have to prioritize those ones over other things. So it's just really thinking through and making notes, and trying prioritizing your energy and your time and things that need to be done, just so that by the end of the day you're not all over the place. You know where you are and you're confident at where you are, and when it's time for you to hand over, you're not confused and all over the place. So it really helps to have that mindset, be organized and plan things out, to get ahead of the game, and it helps you to be calm. It helps you to go through the shift without stress, because you know what you're doing and you know where you're at. And everybody likes to do things differently. The way you organize might be different from the way another nurse organizes, but the idea is just being organized in a way that helps you to do the best for your patient, and to use your time best, to use your energy best, to help you get through the shift as best as possible. Number 6 is attention to detail. That's one of the qualities of great nurses. And so you have to be someone that's really, you pay attention to things that are happening. And this is really important, especially in delivering care to your patients. You might get a history, from your patients that's quite inconsistent, and people might cover up stuff, but you have to be taking up on other cues, like body language, tone of voice, because research says that non-verbal communication accounts for more than even the words that someone is saying. So your patient is telling you one thing, but then you're seeing something else. So if you're paying attention to all of these details, then you know what's happening. It's really helpful, in a hospital setting, when you've got that, and especially when you're chatting to staff, when you're analysing situations and projects that have been started in your ward or in your area, in your department. You're able to communicate to your colleagues or your senior colleagues about how these have affected you, because you pay attention, you analyze things, you're seeing what's going on, the day-to-day things. You're sort of keeping an eye, and you're observing things from a really critical point of view. So it's really good to have that attention to detail quality. Number 7 is the desire for continuous learning. As I've already discussed, adaptability, and actually adaptability comes with this. You find that a lot of nurses who are average or not at their best, they struggle with trying to keep up to the expectations and the level of learning that they're expected to have, and they don't create that time for learning and developing themselves. But if you want to be a top-notch nurse, you need to be willing, and you need to be chasing your own development. So a lot of hospitals, the great thing is they do internal trainings. So you've got a great list of mandatory trainings that you're supposed to do, and which is provided for free by your trust. And normally when you start as a nurse, in your first year or so, it's good to get all of these done. So the earlier you get them done, the more ready you are to take on tasks on your ward. And the easier things are really for the rest of your year, until you need to redo these trainings. So you need to really chase up these trainings, and you get to that point where you're thinking, where do you want to go? What career do you want to take? What trajectory do you want to take? What direction do you want to go? And you have to be willing, because a lot of with some of these career paths, you need to have extra training, have extra education, be paying for school, dedicate that time, which is a lot of sacrifice, but you have to be willing to give something to get to where you want to go. So it's just that willingness to learn when you need to develop yourself, to get into training if you find that you're lacking in some kind of expertise or knowledge, and that's one of the things that great nurses do have. Now, a very important quality, which is number 8 that I'm going to talk about today, is integrity. That is your ability to do the right thing when there's nobody there. And I know how this sounds like a no-brainer. You should be doing the right thing whether people are there to watch you or not. But then you find that some people are comfortable with, doing the good things and the right things when people are there to watch them, and when there's nobody there, they just, do things anyhow. But if you were a great nurse, it doesn't matter whether you've got people there or not, because I always say this thing, like, service to man is service to God. You know that, and if you're like religious or something, you know that no matter where you are, God can see you, or a higher authority is watching, and like, karma exists, and what goes around comes back around. So if you're really messing up somebody in secret, one day, shockingly, it will come up to light, and that should not even be the motivation why you should do the right thing. Just do the right thing because it makes you feel good, and you have that integrity. People trust you, when you're on your own with patients, and they know that you'll do the right thing no matter what, and it builds confidence in yourself. You trust yourself more, you're more confident in yourself. You have a better self-esteem because you know that you've got a standard and you've got a value, and you're willing to stick to it even if there is no reward for that. So it's just that intrinsic reward that you get for doing the right thing, not necessarily what others say or what you get from other people when you do the right thing. That should be what motivates you to keep doing the right thing. And obviously, for the benefit of man, for the benefit of your patients, your clients who are on the receiving end of your care, they should be able to say to themselves that, wow, this is a nurse of integrity. This person has done the right thing and the best thing for me, even though I couldn't really fight for myself, or I couldn't really, there were not other people here watching or like encouraging her to do it. She's managed to do it herself, and that state of heart of that person is even a blessing to you. Now, last but definitely not the least is a sense of humor. You get a ton of nurses that are going to tell you that it's a stressful job, like what we do, and not just nurses, like the whole team. And it really helps when you've got that sense of humor. You can laugh things off. And I mean, some patients, they've got great stories, especially when you're working with elderly patients, and even with young ones. A lot of them have got a lot of jokes under their sleeves. They can crack you up all day. And even amongst yourself as staff, you need to be able to create that sense of humor. It really connects you as a team, and you feel like you're family. You've got a sense of commonness. You've got this sense of like togetherness when you laugh together. So don't forget to always bring humor, and that's one of the great things that's one of the things that great nurses do. They always try to see the bright side of things, laugh over things. We learn from mistakes, but we can also laugh at ourselves when we do stupid things. So yeah, just be willing to just have fun on the ward. Joke around with your colleagues, joke around with your patients, bring a smile on someone's face and to your own, and it will make your day, to be honest. So guys, yeah, that's just 9 of the things that I think great nurses have. Just let me know what you think about them, if you've got any more tips for us to improve on our nursing care or wherever we work, because these things can be applied across board. They work in all industries and organizations. Remember to subscribe, like and share. I'll see you guys in my next video. Until then, bye bye and peace out.